Hey, Stephen Smith here, and I believe that I have a word from the Lord for you today. The Lord wants us to be able to take our eyes and to fix them and focus them on Him. Why does He do that? Well, all our trials and our difficulties and our tribulations throughout our lives constantly pull us away from what His focus on us and for us should be. He lovingly takes our head and turns it back to Him in His hands, and He says, look, just focus on me. I'll show you how to handle every one of these situations. And he does that for us continually, constantly, in fact. He demonstrates that throughout his word. If we look throughout the Bible, it definitely feeds us and tells us how we can live our lives in a much better way. Even the life of Christ gives us this example of a perfect life through him, with him, and even for him. So look at the difference of what we have here. If we take a look at what Paul wrote to the church in Philippi, they were going through difficulties. They were going through trials and tribulations. They're going through all these hard things in life. And yet Paul was doing the exact same thing. He tells them not to focus on their difficulties or their trials or the things that they're going through. He tells them to focus on God. He tells them to focus on the good things. Look at Philippians 4, 8, and 9. It says, and now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep on putting into practice all that you've learned from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with you. You know, God always demonstrates that he wants to be with us. He wants to be a part of what we do and how we do it. The best way that he does that is he provides his perfect example for us. You know, it's absolutely wonderful that we have this example for us to look into. Look at what Peter said in 2 Peter 1, 5 through 7. He gives us this perfect example of how we can do this. He says, in view of all of this, make every effort to respond to God's promises. Supplement your faith with the generous provision of moral excellence, and moral excellence with knowledge, and knowledge with self-control, and self-control with patient endurance, and patient endurance with godliness, and godliness with brotherly affection, and brotherly affection with love for everyone. Do you see how that's progressive? We can take the promises of God and we can build on these, supplementing our faith with knowledge and self-control, endurance, godliness, brotherly affection, and love for everyone. As we do these things, we're actually imitating what God intended for us. He'll always lead us. He'll always assist us all the way up to the point of when we're called home. Look at Psalms 48:14. It's a perfect example of how this promise is here for us. It says, for that is what God is like. He is our God forever and ever. He will guide us until we die. God's provision and God's guidance is always there for us. It enables us to be able to be successful in what he's called us to do. And he's called us to live a life exactly like his son, Jesus Christ. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but he does want you to look towards him for your guidance in every aspect of your life. So why don't we do that now? You know, Paul prayed a prayer for the church in Ephesus. He prayed that they would get to know the love of Christ, which surpasses all knowledge, so that they could be filled with all the fullness of God. Can you imagine being filled with all the fullness of God? Well, it comes from getting to know him better. As we get to know him better, guess what we do? We start emulating everything that he does. It's a perfect example for us to be able to live our lives in the success and the victory that God has in store for us. I believe that God has given me this word for you today. Fix your thoughts on me, and I will demonstrate the perfect way to live your life. I am the example to follow. If you do, you will experience the success and victory that I have always had. Can you imagine that? Living in the victory that God himself has? Well, that's what his perfect plan is for you. You know, if you want to take a further study into this, you can take a look at all of these scriptures and go through them at your own time. I'll include a link at the bottom of this page. Whether it's on Facebook, you can look for us there. It'll also be in YouTube. You can look for the link there also. I'll have it on our website at awfg.today. You can even discuss this on our blog at awfg.blog. Or if you like, you can download or subscribe to our podcast where you can get these updates every single day. Well, I want to say God bless you and thank you for spending some time with me and listening to what God has in store for you today. God bless you, and I hope to hear from you soon.